Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukenessmonster. Today we're going to be reviewing the Star Wars The BlackSeries Revenge of the Sith Clone Commander Bacara. First up, looking at the box though, we do have the Revenge of the Sith like burnt orange color. This is number 2 in the Revenge of the Sith packaging. Crazy that we've had the Galaxy packaging for 5 years now and only have 2 Revenge of the Sith characters. Looking at the mural artwork though, the artwork is super cool. I do really like this Clone Commander Bacara artwork. And of course we do have like the battle in the background here where Ki-Adi-Mundi does meet his demise, but yeah, you can go ahead and pause and read the bio if you would like. Yeah, pretty interesting, and they do name drop the Galactic Marine, so hopefully a Galactic Marine coming here in the future. But again, just another zoomed in photo of that artwork here. And other than that, not a whole lot going on with the box, so let's crack them open, take a close look at everything this figure has to offer. So we do have Commander Bacara out of the box. This figure has been at the #1 spot on my BlackSeries bucket list ever since ARC Trooper 5s was made, and so I am beyond excited to finally have this one in my collection. It's just him now, as well as Neo, being the last 2 BlackSeries clone commanders that we need from Revenge of the Sith, and so this one is a huge figure to be getting in the line. Regardless though, there's still a ton of controversy around this figure. A lot of people are really disappointed with how this figure turned out, and so we are going to be covering all of the problems with this figure in this video as well, but I gotta say, I'm just so happy to finally have this one in the line, and yeah, let's just go ahead, get him off the spinny stand, and take a close look at everything this figure has to offer. So the main controversy around this guy has to come down to the helmet. This is a completely brand new sculpt for the helmet, and honestly, I think it looks really good. I do think there are some flaws with it, and the main flaw is that there is no little purple dots here on the helmet. The character does have 2 little purple dots on the helmet here, and they're completely missing on this figure, and I think that really sucks. I think that is a pretty big part of the helmet design for this figure, and they just did not include it on this, so I think that is my 100% biggest complaint about this figure is just there's no little dots. And I know the dots are subtle, and to be honest, if nobody pointed it out, I probably wouldn't have noticed the dots weren't there. But at the same time, it is just a bummer that they didn't include them. And then the other biggest complaint that I've seen a lot of people have is that the visor looks kind of derpy. There is this like white gap in the top corner of the eyes here, and it kind of just makes the visor look a little derpy, and I do definitely see the problem there, but honestly it doesn't bother me too much. I think it's bothering a whole lot more people than it does me, and that's okay. If it bothers you, like, you do you, that is your opinion, but for me, I don't think it's a huge problem. And I've also been seeing a lot of people saying that just the shape of the helmet itself is off, it's not right, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it is a little bit different than what we do see in Revenge of the Sith, but I think it's close enough. Like, looking at all of the BlackSeries figures that have come out on the 2023 clone body, the BlackSeries is pretty creative when it comes to their helmets. Their helmets are not like 1-to-1 to Revenge of the Sith. They take a little creative liberty with them, and I think they did the same thing with this, and so I'm not really holding it to that standard of being 1-to-1 to Revenge of the Sith, because all the BlackSeries helmets we've gotten in the last 5 years haven't been. Regardless of those complaints though, I do want to take a look at the rest of this figure because there's a surprising amount of new on this figure. Of course, we already talked about the helmet. This is a completely brand new helmet sculpt for the BlackSeries, and it's actually the first clone trooper since the 2020 clone trooper to not have a molded head underneath the helmet. This is just a ball socket for the helmet, and it goes directly into the neck. There is no head sculpt underneath this, and honestly, I think that's the right way to go. I think that if they tried to fit a head underneath this, the proportions would have been really wonky, and I think that this was the right move, and it made the proportions look great for this figure. I know a lot of people complain that the BlackSeries helmets are just too big, and it makes them look like bobbleheadish, but I do think this Commander Bacara head sculpt is perfect in scale. I absolutely love this pauldron sculpt here. It is a soft rubber, so it can move and flex out of the way if you need it to, and I absolutely love this like gunmetal gray color on here. It's got this like graphite reflexive texture to it, and I think it's really cool looking. Of course, this shoulder pauldron is a completely brand new sculpt for this figure, and it goes all the way around to the back of the figure here, and it does connect to the belt. And looking at the back of this figure, this whole torso overlay here is a completely brand new sculpt too. There is these little two like pouch things here that are completely brand new, as well as the extra like ammo thing here on the back. That is completely brand new too, and so this whole chest overlay thing is a completely brand new sculpt, which is great. Looking at the belt is also a brand new sculpt because we haven't seen a belt in the Black Series have this little hook and strap piece specifically for the 2020 or 2023 Clone Trooper mold. We have seen similar belts with a figure like Commander Bly, but all the figures that do have this similar belt also have a holster, and this figure does not have holsters, so this is a completely brand new sculpt for the belt as well. Of course, looking at articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so decent range of motion. Of course, this kind of like big shield here on the back of the helmet, it does hinder a lot of the side-to-side motion for the articulation, but the neck articulation here is still pretty solid for what it is. Looking at the shoulders, they do go all the way up into a T-pose. This shoulder pauldron here does not get in the way at all when it comes to articulation. And of course, the shoulder pads here are on an O-ring on the inside of the shoulder socket, so they don't get in the way at all. And so that does allow the arm to rotate 365 degrees here without the shoulder pauldron getting in the way, which is great. Of course, there are butterfly joints, which are always great for this figure and allows it to get into great like gun aiming down the sights poses, so always a big fan of the butterfly joints. There is a bicep swivel. Does get to about 90 degrees at the elbows. And for a lot of the newer clones, they've been getting trigger fingers on both hands, which is a change that I really like. He does have a horizontal hinge here on the left wrist and a vertical hinge here on the right wrist. Of course, he does have the ball joint at the abdomen, and this is really the only place where this shoulder pauldron hinders any articulation. Just because if you wanted to do the side-to-side twist, you still can, but it starts to flex the shoulder pauldron, and I'd be worried that it would warp if you tried to do too much of a twist at the abdomen. Of course, looking at the legs are the standard 2023 clone body articulation, so he can kick all the way up. The knee can come down, and if you want the knee pad to go to the bottom of the knee, you can. So it does float loosely here on this knee, not glued to the top like it used to be. The legs do get into a pretty good splits if you would like them to. And then the feet do have pivots as well as rockers. I do want to take a close look at the helmet mold again. Like I said, it's definitely not perfect, but I think it gets the job done. I do think that the visor there is a little disappointing, because like I said, I do see the derpiness of it. And again, the really big problem is that it's just missing those two red dots. Other than that though, I think the shape of it looks fine. I don't really understand the complaints that people are complaining about the shape of it. I know it's not perfect, but I just don't see the complaints around it. First up, for comparisons, we do have Commander Bacara's Jedi General, Ki-Adi-Mundi here on the right, and of course we all remember the iconic Order 66 scene where Commander Bacara and the Galactic Marines gun down Ki-Adi-Mundi, and so it's super cool to finally have both Ki-Adi-Mundi and Commander Bacara in the line. I'm just really happy that we're able to finally be getting a lot more of the like Jedi Generals with their clone commanders in the line, because that's some of my favorite poses to do, is a Jedi General next to their clone commander, and Ki-Adi-Mundi and the Galactic Marine here is a huge one to finally have in the line. On the left, we do have a custom Galactic Marine. This one was actually made by Commander Cook. This one was made quite a while ago, so it's a little dated, but it really does get my hopes up for how good a Galactic Marine could be in the Black Series, and how good it would look next to this Commander Bacara and Ki-Adi-Mundi. So really loving how these three look together. Next up for comparisons, we do have some more Revenge of the Sith clones with the old 2014 Commander Cody on the right, with the 212th on the Order 66 2-pack on the left. I think Commander Bacara is looking really good next to these two. Now, I always have to say this every time I put my Commander Cody on screen, but of course, mine does have a misprint. The helmet is like completely white, and it should be gray with those little strips on the top, and mine just came unpainted. Ignoring that though, I think this Commander Bacara fits right into the look of these Revenge of the Sith figures. Continuing with these comparisons, we do have Commander Gree on the left, and we have the 442nd Trooper on the right, also from that Order 66 4-pack. And I gotta say, both of these figures look really good next to Bacara, but I gotta say, I just feel how dated these Revenge of the Sith clones look next to him, just because we have Bacara in this amazing, like, gun down the sights pose, almost. Like, it's not straight down the sights, but it's in more of like a casual about to hold up the blaster. And you compare it next to these clones on the 2013 body next to him, and this is the best gun-holding pose that either of these two figures can hold. Like, it's down by their belt, and they've got these like really wide arms. It's not a natural gun holding pose at all. I know a lot of people are really fond of some of these older figures because they have that more accurate Revenge of the Sith style look, which I do love. I do love the Revenge of the Sith style look, especially with all the weathering on those like Order 66 4-pack characters. The weathering is amazing, but they just can't get into a natural pose, and no matter how good they look with their accuracy to Revenge of the Sith or their weathering, in my opinion, they'll never look as good as this Commander Bacara, because Commander Bacara can actually hold his blaster in a natural pose. Regardless though, it is nice to get some more Revenge of the Sith clones in the line like Commander Bacara. Next here for comparisons, we do have Commander Bly on the right, and we have the Coruscant Guard on the left. Both of these, again, are looking really great. That Commander Bly figure on the right is one of the best Black Series clone commanders we've ever gotten. It is on the Captain Rex body, so he's got much better articulation and can hold his blasters a whole lot more naturally than the Coruscant Guard on the left. And then last up for comparisons, we do have two 501st Troopers. We have the Kenobi Commander Oppo on the right, and we have the classic Order 66 501st Trooper on the left. Both are looking great. And like I said, it is nice to get more Revenge of the Sith clones in the line here. So I'm really thinking that Commander Bacara is going to look so good on the shelf. So overall, I think Commander Bacara is a really dang good figure. I understand that there are a lot of complaints with this guy, and I just can't say that I necessarily agree with them all. I think the missing dots on the head are a bummer, and that's the biggest complaint I have with this figure. As far as the look of the figure goes, I think it looks amazing. The articulation is some of the best articulation we've ever gotten in the Black Series. You're gonna get your most natural poses out of a figure like this because it's on that 2023 clone body, so it's just unmatched compared to any other clone trooper we have in the line. I think the new sculpting is amazing. I'm really glad they went out of their way to do a lot of the new sculpting for this figure. And overall, I'm just really happy with how this one turned out. I think I would give it a 4.75 out of 5, and I'm only taking away the 0.25 because of those missing dots on the head. Other than that, I think this is a perfect figure, and it's one that I've been waiting to get in the line for so long now, and I'm just so happy to finally have it in my collection. But please let me know down in the comments what you guys think, because I know there's a lot of controversy around it, so let me know down in the comments below, but I'm a big fan of this one. That's going to do it though, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.